and welcome to Partner Perspective. I'm Gina Vera Lopez, Partnership Director at Partnerize, and I'm here to support the growth of our strategic partners in the APAC region. Join me today, Emini, Global Partnership Director at Internally. Today, she will walk us through Internally core products, as well as any opportunities for the affiliate programs. And now I pass over to you, Emini, to begin with the presentation.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Gina. As Gina said, I'm Partnerships Director here at Intently. I've been at the business about 19 months now. And before that, I was actually one of their clients. So I've got, two opinions on both sides, which is always quite insightful for, prospective clients. But what I'll do, I'll walk you through a presentation today. And then if you guys, in the future, if you guys got any questions, my contact details are there as well. So really high level from the top, Intently, who are we? We're an on-site customer conversion and shopper insights platform. So essentially what that would mean is we would add our tag to the site of your clients so we can better understand how their audience behaves. And ultimately, if they've got users that aren't converting, which, 99% of the time they will, we want to bring those customers back into the funnel, back into that purchase flow, and just ensure that they're converting. So there are a number of reasons that, clients will have Intently solutions on their site. We can help you achieve a wide range of KPIs for your account. So, these are just a few, but, new customer acquisition, we can improve engagement and reduce bounce rates, which I'll get into, further on in the presentation. We do a lot of lifetime value stuff, rewarding, repeat customers, increasing customer retention, etc. The biggest focus generally for a lot of our, prospective clients is that increase in conversion rate. So generally on average, it only kind of sits around 2.2%, I would say 2.6 probably at the highest globally. And that leaves a significant amount of traffic on site that is unconverting. But again, I'll get into that further on into the presentation. And then just on to something we like to call our shopportunities. So it's a bit of a play on words. It's just a more visual way to show you how the Intently solutions work on site. So here we have your client site traffic. Now, generally on average, the global conversion rate sits at around 2.6%. So that leaves 97.4% of customers who are abandoning without purchasing. And that's a huge, huge number. Now, the Intently solutions don't target that already existing converting 2.6% of traffic. We actually look to target between 2 and 10% of that non-converting traffic. So we're essentially upping this conversion rate percentage. And then we have a number of core products. I'll start with our hero solution, which are our overlays. These are our on-site engagements deployed at a point of a user's exit from the website, keeping the user on the site and continuing down that checkout flow. We also have our email remarketing solution, which does exactly what it says in the name. It helps retailers recover lost revenue by returning users to site and converting an otherwise lost session into a sale. And then we have our new solution, which is our brand partnerships opportunity, which essentially creates a new revenue stream for a host business whereby you offer a non-endemic solution on your confirmation page. So a little bit of an example here. When you're on Ticketmaster and you buy concert tickets and you get to that confirmation page, you actually have an overlay that would trigger that has a number of different solutions, different subscriptions. You could get a HelloFresh, you could get Naked Wines, you could get chocolate. There are so many different, different options that they've got on there, but it's a really great way to create a new revenue stream for your business and also, encourage that customer to purchase again. And then we also have access to our analytics suite. So once you've been onboarded as a client, or your account has, yourself and a client will get access to our dashboard. So this is essentially where you can log in, see complete transparency of any active and historic conversion campaigns, as well as any behavioral insights that we've recorded. And a little bit of inside knowledge. When I was a client, the dashboard was one of my favorite tools to have because it allowed me to actually look at different data that we weren't recording internally that Intently were. And it actually allowed us to improve other, revenue, other streams, other channels and other revenue streams internally just through this data. And then on to some case studies. So I'm going to start with our new customer acquisition case study. So when it comes to our overlays, we have a very, very specific set of rules and triggers behind each of these overlays. So we can actually target just new customers with some of our campaigns, and we can do that via checking a client's data layer. But it's particularly good when you want to offer discounts to a new customer and, you know, to encourage them to purchase and not to your repeat customers. So Ghost Tech wanted to increase their new customer acquisition, but also, you know, keep their CPA to a minimum rate. And, you know, we always do differentiate between new customers and existing customers when it comes to the CPA rate as well. So what we did was we built out something called our click to reveal discount campaign. And there's two ways in which we can do it. So the first campaign for Ghost Tech was essentially triggered on a new user's exit from the website. So let's say they've come onto the website, they've had a little bit of a scroll, but they've not got past that top of funnel stage. On exit intent, a campaign like this would have triggered, and it would say, click here to get 10% off your first order. They can click the call to action, and then it would generate a one-time discount code that only they could use on their first order, and then allow them to convert that way. Through the use of this campaign, we actually saw a 19% increase in conversion rate, which was, you know, really quite high, and, you know, is a vast improvement to what they had before. We can also do email capture new customer campaigns, which I do always recommend to a client if they're looking to expand their internal email marketing lists. So again, it's targeting new customers. It's triggered on exit intent in the same way. However, in order to generate the discount code, they actually have to leave their first name, last name, and their email address. So one, you're kind of killing two birds with one stone here. You know, you're acquiring that customer's details, and you're also encouraging them to purchase through the use of a one-time discount code. And again, we saw a 12% engagement rate with this. So onto our traffic shaping case study. So not sure if you guys have heard of QuickFit, but they are a very, very large, extensive automotive part repair company here in the UK. So you can go there for your MOTs, for your car services, for tyres. So I don't know if anyone else knew this, but tyres actually have a best before date on them. They have to be sold, I believe, every 4 or 5 years. Otherwise, you know, you just kind of lose an influx of tyres because people aren't buying them as much. So what QuickFit wanted to do was, one, get rid of these tyres and, you know, make sure that they're reducing their stock in their warehouse. So what we did is we built out a tyres for all budgets. Essentially, it's like a quiz or a filter. And for me, I find tyres really overwhelming. So I don't know what to buy for my car. I'm just go with the flow. Whatever they tell me to buy, I'll buy. But some people do kind of want to stay within budget, especially for buying 4 tyres. So what we did is we built out essentially this price slider, and it actually allowed a user to build their own journey just from one campaign. So let's say a user was on the tyres landing page on QuickFit. They didn't know what to order, they didn't know what to buy, but, you know, they knew they were looking for tyres. So what would happen is that if they were inactive for a period of time, this campaign would trigger and it say tyres for all budgets, you know, pick what price is best for you and we will generate the tyres for you. So they could actually, you know, select if they wanted to spend £100, £200, £300, etc. Click shop now, and then it would generate that search for them on the QuickFit website. So we actually forecasted, and the campaign performed 18% higher than forecast, but it actually upped their entire tyre revenue and actually helped them reduce their stock levels in the warehouse, which is what they were after. We also built out another campaign. So you have to have an MOT every year here in the UK for your cars, and then the service every couple of years. So what QuickFit were finding is that people were booking the inner city MOT and servicing spots at, you know, ones that were a little bit easier to access, but they weren't going to any of the rural service stations or, you know, MOT stations. So people were waiting an awful long time for their MOTs and services because they just couldn't get in. The slots were filling up. So again, we built out a campaign for a user that was checking out via servicing or, you know, the MOT route. They'd selected an inner city service station, but what would happen is actually this campaign would trigger it, say, you know what, if you get 10% off servicing when you check out today, if you go to one of our other locations, and it'll be really close. It would still probably be about 3 miles away, but it would be out of the city. So one, we were, helping shift that flow of people coming to the inner city service stations and actually enabling them to maximize bookings, and it, relieve pressure on everything. And then onto our cart abandonment case study. So our dynamic basket campaigns are our most popular and highest converting campaigns. Now, these campaigns target users that are at that end point of the marketing funnel. So let's say that someone has come onto the website, they've bought this, in this case, a diaper cover, one of my clients, Mud Pie. They've added it to their basket, but they don't yet purchase and they go to leave the website. So on exit intent, this campaign would trigger. It would dynamically populate with the most recently added item to their basket, and it would say, you've left this in your cart. In this case, they're below the free shipping threshold. So it would say spend £12 to get free shipping, and they can click through the call to action, continue shopping, or check out. So this campaign in particular is called our dynamic spend, and it is really great at one, upping average order value, and two, encouraging users to convert, and it takes them straight into that checkout flow. Now, MudPie saw really, really great results through these campaigns. So they saw a 16% conversion rate increase, and they actually saw increased average order values, which, is something people always want. We also built out a traffic shaping case study for them. So again, when we do a traffic shaping case study, we're targeting that top of the funnel traffic. So MudPie were seeing a lot of drop off from that top of the funnel, from the homepage, or from people that had kind of just gone onto a category page, but had not quite, delved further into the journey, not got to the kind of the SKU level part yet. So on exit intent, for a user that was at that top of the funnel stage, this campaign would trigger and say, before you leave, check out our sale. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I love a sale. I'm a marketer's dream. I will buy into anything that's got a good review, or that, is cheap and I probably don't need it. But it's a really great way to bring that user back onto the site and entice them by looking at the sale. And again, we're showcasing these products to that user. It's perfectly timed. We directed this to over 6,500 users who would have missed that sale, and it generated an extra $14,000 in revenue, which is huge when you're thinking you're losing that anyway. And then onto our upsell campaigns. So Currys are a big UK tech retailer, and they were seeing a lot of issues internally when it came to, one, they're losing money on, upselling, and they were also losing money when it came to plugs not being sold with the new iPhones. So we built out a campaign that would trigger based on a SKU being added to their basket. And as you saw in that campaign, I can play it again, is that once a user added something to their cart, in this case, an iPhone, a campaign would trigger, and it would showcase the different protection they can have, the charging accessories, and also the plugs, because as we all know now, with Apple, you don't get the plugs. And again, it helped reduce customer service issues that they were having internally, and again, helped up that average order value. We also have something called our wish list campaign. So this is Ganni, they're a big retailer here, well, in the world, I would say. And they were seeing a lot of people were adding things to their wish list or adding things to their basket, but not converting. So what would happen when a user came back to the site is this campaign would trigger and say, welcome back, you've got this saved. If the product had reduced in cost, it would actually say, this is reduced in cost. Why don't you check out now? In this case, this product hadn't reduced in cost, so a user could click through to their wish list, and then add the product to their bag and then convert that way. And this performed really, really well for Ganni. And then again, we've got our dynamic cart for Ganni, but it's an upsell campaign. So again, we're increasing that average order value. So in this case, let's say I've added this dress to my cart. I don't go to purchase, so I go to exit the site. And as you'll see in a minute, on exit intent or inactivity, this campaign will trigger. It would say, spend 50p more to get free shipping. And then in this case, they can actually select one of those products from there and continue with their journey that way. Again, another example of a traffic shaping campaign with Hollister. Everyone knows who Hollister is, hopefully. And again, they were seeing issues with people dropping off at the top of funnel stage, which is generally, you know, the case when it comes to any website. You're going to see a lot of bounce from your homepage and from your top of funnel. So we built out a category campaign. And what would happen on exit intent is that campaign would trigger. It would showcase the best selling categories, so women's, men's, jeans, activewear. And it would say, if you only spend £50, you know, you can get the free shipping. The user can then pick which category they want to go to and continue through their journey that way. And that always helps to build that customer journey. Then we have something called our Recommender campaign. So this campaign targets users that are at that middle point of the marketing funnel. So again, let's say, you know, you've got a user that's come onto the website. They viewed this product, you know, their first product, looking for a laptop, not too sure on the spec or what they want. But, you know, they're having a little browse. They then go to view another product. Again, they're having a little browse. They're not too sure what to purchase. They're just kind of going through that window shopping journey. So let's say we've added nothing to our cart, but we go to leave the website. So in this case, our Recommender campaign would trigger. Now, this dynamically populates with your first viewed product because it's often the most relevant, and your longest viewed product because a customer has shown a keen interest in that. And then they can actually click through the product, add it to their cart and convert that way. We can also have a direct add to cart button within the campaign, which also really converts really well. But it's really great at targeting that middle of the funnel traffic and just reminding them what they've seen in their cart. And we can also do product bundling. So this is particularly good when you've got a client like Bosch, or, you know, anyone that bundles. We do it a lot with cycling companies. We do it a lot with, you know, makeup and skincare brands, you know, when you're buying a range or buying a routine. So we did it with Barbara Stern, which I'll go into more in detail shortly after. But we wanted to upsell them, a user, to the other items in this routine. And in this case, we've done it for Bosch. So let's say I've gone onto the website to buy a toaster, and then I've added it to my cart. But if I bought the kettle as well, I'd save 5%. And generally speaking, people are buying, you know, matching sets for their kitchens, for their houses, for the office, whatever. Really great way, one, to up the average order value and entice them in with a small discount of 5%. And we do a lot of A/B testing as well when it comes to our strategies. So sometimes we're not too sure what's going to perform the best. You know, we know they're going to perform, but what is the best way to do it? So in this case, My Protein, we're seeing loads of drop off from their protein homepage. And I think that's because who knows where to start? You know, it's quite what I know when I first ever bought, one and only time I bought protein, that I did not know what flavor to buy, what I wanted, where to start. And that's been the same when we've looked at the data. So if a user was at the top of the funnel on the protein page, they hadn't delved into any SKUs and they went to leave the website, what would happen on exit intent is this campaign would trigger. It would showcase each of the flavors that My Protein has for any of their products. So let's say I wanted to select, I don't know, apple caramel, or, you know, any of them, whatever one wants to be the favorite. So white chocolate in this case, it would then bring together all of the powders that are white chocolate flavored, all of the, you know, all of the products, and allow them to continue their journey there. So again, we're influencing that user to go through that journey. We also did another form of this campaign, as you'll see shortly. Again, we want to see which one performed better, and actually they performed quite well, both on site. But actually it was the first one that won and is still live on the site. So this one was a shop by budget. So just some key takeaways. So we are a highly targeted, intent-based solution. We can launch anything between 1 to 100 campaigns on site, targeting anything between 2 and 10% of non-converting traffic. We are also a fully managed service, so everything we do is done by us. We don't outsource anything. So tech setup, design, sales and partnerships, ongoing account management, everything is done by us. We're actually always looking at ways that we can optimize campaigns as well. So once we push them live, we don't forget about them. We're always looking at ways that we can improve and optimize. We can help you achieve a wide range of KPIs like we discussed on the first slide. And we work on a performance basis. So we work at your baseline CPA rate, and there are no long contracts, no setup fees, no integration costs, nothing like that. Everything is purely based on performance of the campaigns. And then finally, we have over 10 years of data and insights and expertise. So we've been in this space way over 10 years now. It's probably about 12. We're one of the first, and we always make sure that before we launch a campaign, we're looking at the data behind it. We're looking as to where you're seeing drop off, what specific URLs, what stage of the funnel are they at, why could they be dropping off, and then what can we build out for you to ensure that we're bringing that user back onto site in a really targeted way. Just to add, we also blacklist all affiliate traffic, so there's no double attribution of costs, and we can source target, channel target, we can blacklist sources, whitelist sources, etc. So it's a really great way to optimize out by specifically targeting, different channels. Thank you.